The man was so rude to me. There I was, a guest in his own house, and he treated me like an intruder.
You know perfectly well that you were far more intruder than guest. In fact, Schuyler didn't even invite you to his party.
But he did invite Derek Mallory, and Derek had every right to invite someone.
I'm sure it never occurred to my nephew that Derek would bring you.
Well, that's no excuse for him to be rude once I was under his roof.
You were not merely under his roof, my dear. You were in his bedroom, in his bed.
Well, I was exhausted, I was tired, and that's Derek's fault for running off and leaving me alone.
Derek is the chief of police. He had an emergency. I heard the story on the news this morning.
I am not interested in Derek's heroics.
No, you're not interested in Derek either. You've done nothing but treat him shamelessly.
You are all against me. You, Derek, and your stupid nephew.
Personally, I think Schuyler handled the whole thing very well. He could have been far more unpleasant about finding you in his bedroom.
How could he possibly have been more unpleasant? Do you know what he did? He sent me home.
Oh, the cad.
He didn't even have the decency to take me home himself.
My dear girl, just what was it you expected him to do?
No, we're not at all sure it's from your bank, Herr Rotman, but since my old friend Jefferson Brown did maintain an account there for a while... Yes, one moment. The number is 5011. Yes, I know the key number doesn't correspond with the box number. Pardon? You're absolutely certain of that? Yes, very well. Thank you, Herr Rotman, and auf Wiedersehen. Nothing.
Number meaningless?
The whole call was meaningless. Rotman said he would have been aware if Jeff had a safety deposit box. He knows the identity of every owner.
Well, it's not the only bank in St. Moritz. There's always Zurich.
Oh, yes, and Paris, Rome, Walla Walla, and Dubuque. This is madness, Spencer. We're never going to find a use for this key this way.
You know, Sky, there might be one other approach.
What's that?
Well, it occurred to me while I was leaving the hotel last night. Do you suppose that the former Mrs. Schuyler Whitney knows anything about that key?
Now that is a very good thought.
I do wish you'd try to eat something, Raven. You must keep up your strength.
I'm surprised I have an appetite at all.
I never knew you when you didn't have one. Hello. Oh, yes, Schuyler. Yes, she is. Just a minute. My nephew wants to talk to you.
Oh, really? I bet he wants to apologize for last night. Hello.
Good morning, Raven. Spencer assures me that you got home all right.
Well, I could have made it home quite well on my own.
Yes, well, what I was wondering is if you could manage to spare a few moments of your time this morning at your hotel.
Well, I am kind of busy. I don't know if I have the time.
Oh, please. I promise it won't take very long.
Well, in that case, all right. I gotta get dressed.
Well, early start this morning.
Yeah, well, I'm going over to see my girl. That's what she is.
Yeah, what's this about her going to a party last night without you?
Hey, she asked me. I mean, she was the host's date, so I thought it was appropriate she go alone.
Well, is this host competition?
Yeah, probably. You've heard of Schuyler Whitney, haven't you?
The guy who came back from the dead to reclaim his inheritance.
Yep. Val met him before the plane crash. I guess he figures that Val's part of his inheritance here.
And what's Val have to say about that?
She likes him. Why wouldn't she? The guy's charming, good-looking, he has a lot of dollars. I mean, why not?
The man who has everything, huh?
Yep.
Sounds like a worthy rival.
Hey, not to worry.
I wish I had your confidence.
Good morning. Hi.
I see what you mean. I was just on my way out. You guys have a great sitting.
Door for you. Well, then.
See you later.
Hello and goodbye. Cute. Hi.
Hi.
You You look great.
Oh, no, I don't. I look awful. I didn't get to bed till about 2 o'clock in the morning. In fact, I thought maybe you'd want to forget about this sitting this morning.
Oh, don't be silly. You look fine. Besides, sitting for a portrait isn't like taking a photograph.
Well, I think I'm going to fall asleep.
And what kept you out so late?
A party.
At the Whitney Mansion.
Yeah, how did you know?
Jim was telling me about it. His friend Val was there, wasn't she?
Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, she was the hostess, sort of.
Well, I hope you had a good time.
Yeah. Chad, by the way, there was something I did want to ask you.
Fire away.
It's about your least favorite subject.
Eden.
Right. See, I heard about this tricentennial celebration, and I thought maybe you'd know something about it.
Yeah, I know about it. I've been hearing about little else for the last couple of months, mostly from Ambassador Groves. You see, it's the 300th anniversary of our country, and they want to make a big fuss over it, both here and on the island.
So, are you going to take part in it?
Well, they're imploring me to come home and put on my comic opera uniform and attend all sorts of ceremonies and parties and whatnot.
Well, are you going?
No. I was able to withstand the onslaught, but I had to make a concession.
What was that?
Well, I had to agree to attend the pageant here.
And just where is here?
Oh, it's in Graham County at a place called Raleigh Castle, which is a stone-by-stone recreation of the original royal castle.
Really?
A rich man named John Raleigh brought it over here at the end of the last century, and he was able to preserve every damp corridor, torture chamber, and dungeon.
Boy, you make that sound nice.
Well, I don't like castles. I prefer painting studios and penthouses. Well, anyway, this thing lasts for a whole week, and there's all sorts of state dinners and dull speeches and silly demonstrations of medieval skills.
Oh, you mean like jousting and things like that?
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. I mean, can anybody attend this party?
Well, not the general public, no. It's strictly by invitation. Are you asking me to invite you, Jody?
Well, I don't have any shooting to do this morning. All I have to do is develop some proofs and put them in the dryer, so I should be able to be there by 12:15.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'll see you here then.
Okay, you know, you sound pretty chipper for someone who must have gotten to bed after 2 o'clock.
I am fine. I'll probably fall apart by 8:30 tonight, but I'm all right now. How are you feeling?
Well, I'm a little nervous, actually. Ah, and I think the reason just knocked on my door.
Pardon me?
I'll explain it all to you when I see you, okay? Bye-bye. Coming. Hi, come in.
Hello. How come you're not at the studio? Too much late-night frivolity?
Well, I did oversleep a little, but I don't have much to do this morning. I was just explaining that to Nancy. We're gonna have lunch together.
You're gonna have lunch with Nancy? What about poor Skylar? What's he gonna do for lunch? All right. I was just kidding. That was a permanent date.
You promised me you wouldn't get silly about this, James.
All right. I was just on my way over to the theater. Thought I'd stop by and say hello, see how you were doing, see how the party was.
Well, it was fine, and I still wish you'd come.
No, you don't. Mr. Whitney wanted you to come alone. Besides, I would have been a member of a very painfully obvious triangle, and you would have had a lousy time. Thanks. What was that for?
For being so nice and so understanding.
Well, I didn't have much option. Mr. Whitney's the one with the power and the money. All I have is my sensitivity and my sexy good looks.
And you do have those.
Thanks. Mr. Whitney doesn't do too badly himself, actually. I'm sure he does very well with the ladies. How did he do with you?
What is that supposed to mean?
Oh, you know.
Jim, Mike and Nancy brought me home, and I really wish you hadn't asked that.
I wish I hadn't asked you. There goes my sensitivity. What's next? My sexy good looks?
Jim, try not to get too sensitive about my relationship with Sky, okay? I just don't want to feel like it's either or with my social life right now. I think you know that.
Yeah, I do. Doesn't mean I have to like it.
Minutes ago, you were convinced he was coming by to apologize for last night.
Well, that has to be the reason. What other one could it be? There he is. You get it.
Why, Spencer.
Good morning, Mrs. Saxon. Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Whitney. Spencer? So where's your boss? Out parking the car?
No, Raven. Mr. Whitney didn't come with me.
But he told me he wanted to come over here this morning and talk to me about something.
Well, that's not exactly what he said. He asked if he could have a few moments of your time. He didn't say with him.
You mean it's with you?
To be truthful, Raven, I thought he should come himself, but Mr. Whitney wasn't sure of the reception that he would get, considering what happened last night.
Well, he's absolutely right.
That's why he suggested that I come over and ask you a question.
What question?
Whether or not you are familiar with this.
What is it?
It resembles a key.
Yes, Mrs. Saxon, but from its shape, we believe it's the sort of key commonly used to open a safety deposit box. There's a number on it, Raven, 5011. Does that sound familiar?
No.
It was discovered among Jefferson Brown's, I'm sorry, your late husband's personal possessions. So far, we haven't been able to determine what it was meant for.
Apparently, Mr. Brown had something in a bank vault.
Yes, and that's why we're so curious. With all the financial resources he had available to him, why would he go to the trouble of being so secretive?
So that's the only reason he called? Not because of his rude behavior yesterday, not because he wanted to apologize to me
I'm
for...
sure Mr. Whitney would prefer a much more cordial relationship, Raven.
Don't give me that, Spencer. Schuyler Whitney has a selfish motive behind everything he does. Don't you think I know that?
Yes, if anyone would know about that, Raven, you would.
Exactly. So you can just give this key to Mr. Whitney, and you can just tell him to lock himself in that bank vault and stay there and play with his money the rest of his life.
Thank you for your time anyway, Raven. Goodbye, Mrs. Saxon. It's nice seeing you as always.
Wait a minute, Spencer. You can take his stupid raincoat with you.
This isn't Mr. Whitney's.
It isn't?
No, Raven, it was left in a closet. It belonged to your late husband. Goodbye.
Yes, Anna? Oh, of course. Send him in. Well, Damian,
Mike.
You look any worse for wear after last night? I hear you and Derek had a little excitement.
Well, actually, there was a lot more fuss than firearms. See, a very disturbed man named Bill Lowry locked himself in his rooming house with some guns and ammunition and got himself a little publicity. That's really all there was to it.
From what I heard, there could have been some injury inflicted.
Now, there could have been, but fortunately there wasn't. Anyway, here I am, ready for some much more exciting work.
I'm sorry to disappoint you, but so far, this is all we know about Dwight Endicott, the Monticello underworld, and the Republic of Eden.
Well, there's not much to go on, is there?
It's thin, but there may be something there that could prove useful. For instance, we found out that Endicott was the single largest importer of artworks from Eden. Paintings, sculpture, you name it. Several hundred pieces a year were shipped from that island to his gallery.
I didn't realize there were that many artists on Eden.
Most of the stuff was listed as antiques.
Mike, is there a possibility that there have been some things besides works of art shipped into this country?
That's the first thought that occurred to us. It would be a peculiar way to hide contraband, like narcotics, but not a bad one.
Well, sounds like a damn good idea to me. I mean, who's going to smash open a priceless statue because he thinks it might be hollow? Or maybe tear open a crate that might have a precious painting inside?
So far, it's only speculation, but it is interesting.
Mike, what about more recent shipments? I mean, since Eddie Lorimer has taken over the gallery.
That's even more interesting. There haven't been any more shipments. They've stopped coming.
Really? It sounds to me like they're worried about something. Could be they're just trying to cool their heels for a while.
No way of knowing for sure. But take that folder with you, study it, and see if you come up with any ideas.
I sure will.
Oh, there's a new man working with you, isn't there? Derek mentioned Detective Loomis.
Yeah, well, Loomis is just working with me temporarily while Calvin is, Calvin's on vacation.
Well, if you'd like to show that folder to him, it's okay with me.
Actually, Mike, I'd prefer not to. I'm just not sure that he can handle it. I don't think he's smart enough. In fact, since last night, Mike, I'm not sure about Loomis at all.
Number 59, sculptor, terracotta. Title, Figure of a Young Girl. Artist, Sanchez, Providence, 1711, Toledo.
Ohio.
Oh. It says here Spain. The dummies must have made a mistake. Toledo is definitely in Ohio. I know, because I spent a month there one night. Was that cute?
Cute. Eddie, why is all this stuff being sent back to Eden?
Hey, how should I know? I just do what they tell me to do.
Who is they?
Would you just write down what I tell you and shut up? Come on.
Okay.
Number 60, painting. 20 by 32, tempera. Title, Abstraction in Red. Artist, Chin-Yu, Providence, Boston Gallery, 1921.
Eddie, gotta talk to you. Alone.
All right, go get yourself a 2-foot meatball sandwich, kid. You haven't eaten in the last 15 minutes.
Do you want me to type up what I've got here so far?
Yeah, you better get started, because the way you type, it's going to take you a week.
You know, you look a little pale, Joseph. Why don't you take some vitamins?
So, what's up?
He blew it.
Who? Who blew what?
Our friend Loomis. He had the perfect opportunity to blow Tyler away last night, and he blew it.
What happened?
What happened? They had a guy with a load of guns and ammo holed up. Loomis could have blown Tyler away right there and then and blamed the guy. No. He lets Tyler sweet-talk the guy out of coming out of the room. The guy walks out nice and peaceful. End the story.
It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Loomis cannot wait for the perfect moment. He's got to make the moment happen. Doesn't he understand that? You tell Loomis I want him to get Tyler. Take him into an alley. Bring him into an old garage. I don't care. Use whatever he's got to use. Beat him with a garbage can cover. But I want this guy had. He can tell the cops that he got mugged by a couple of punks, anything. I want this guy.
I'll be right with you, Valerie, just as soon as I straighten my desk. I leave it for a few minutes and somebody comes in and piles up 50 more items on it.
And I'd like to go back and find 50 new items on my desk.
Well, I guess that is about as much as I'm going to do. Let's go. I'm ready.
Good, I'm starving. I decided to skip breakfast because I slept so late.
You did. Mr. Whitney.
Hello, Mrs. Carr. Val, what a nice surprise.
Well, what are you doing here?
I was thinking about our conversation last night, about the man who owns the newspaper.
Oh, well, if you were hoping to see Mr. Scarborough here, I'm afraid you've come to the wrong place because he seldom comes to the office. I told you last night he prefers to conduct business from his home.
Well, isn't that interesting? But when I'm the owner, I expect to spend most of my time right here, where the action is. Something happening or about to happen.
Well, yeah, that's interesting because very often people are very amazed at how calm it is in a newspaper office.
That was always my impression.
Yes, they expect to see people running around waving papers saying stop the presses. Do you realize how expensive it is to stop the presses?
Just the same, I like the feeling here. I feel almost as if I've come home.
But you did say that you've never worked on a paper, didn't you?
I've never worked, period, Mrs. Carr. But I did go to school, mostly abroad. In Geneva, I was editor-in-chief of our campus newspaper. I had great fun puncturing the inflated egos of everyone, but unfortunately, they only let me publish one issue.
Oh, dear.
Yes, they didn't like my style. But if I had been the owner of that paper...
Oh, I see. You would like to use one as a means of personal expression.
I think I'd do better the second time around.
Oh, well, I don't think that you should look for the Monticello News to do that for you, because as I said last night, I don't think there's a chance in the world that Mr. Scarborough is going to sell.
Well, we'll just have to see about that, won't we? Listen, were you two ladies on your way to lunch?
Yes, that was the idea.
Splendid. I'll take you both.
Are you going to use that coat as some kind of security blanket?
It's his coat. It's the only thing that I really have left from my sky.
Yes, he really left you very little, didn't he?
He left me everything. And then he took it all away.
I can see how you would feel that way.
There's even change left in the pocket. Quarter, a nickel, and 2 pennies. all that's left of the Whitney fortune. There's something else. Key.
Another one?
Yes, and it looks exactly like the one Spencer had.
Is there a number?
There certainly is. It says 5012.
Seems as though a harmony is hard to find. Always on my mind. And frustrated days pass without sight. The edge of night, half dark, half light. Do you think we might wake up someday and be aware of all the games people play? Living circle